Welcome back. 3 men accused of helping plot the kidnapping of Michigan's governor have been convicted on state charges of providing support for a terrorist act. Joe Morrison, his father-in-law Pete Miausko, and Paul Bellar were members of a militia group known as the Wolverine Watchmen. The group's leader put together a plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer in hopes they could start a civil war. The FBI stopped the plot before any violence happened, using undercover agents and informants to get information. Defense attorneys argued none of the men knew about the kidnapping plot and nothing they did was a crime. The jury deliberated for only a few hours before returning a verdict. Morrison tested positive for COVID-19 earlier this week, and his father-in-law had symptoms, so they watched the verdict via webcam. On December 15th, and the men looking at decades in prison kind of give us like a 30,000-foot view of this. What do you think they'll actually get for jail time?
Well, I think they're going to get as much as the prosecution can argue that they should get, because they're trying to set an example here. These are very serious charges, and the gang membership count plus the count for providing support of terrorist act, those carry a maximum of 20-year sentences. And under the Michigan sentencing guidelines, if you have a felony and the court has discretion, those guidelines are going to apply, and the judge is going to look at whether or not they had former charges, whether or not they have committed other felonies. And it does really depend on each individual. You could see differences in each of the defendants depending on whether or not they have records. So it remains to be seen, but I think the prosecution is going to push for the maximum.
Now, Dina, drill down a little deeper for us. Do you think the judge is going to say, hey, max is 20, I give you all 20, and like the same amount of jail time, or will it vary? And if it does, how does it vary based on their participation in this case?
Well, as we know, there's actually going to be a hearing on the sentencing, and part of what each of the defendants can do is show remorse, accept responsibility, and show remorse, and that will make a difference and could make it that they have different sentences depending on how they act during that sentencing hearing. And as Terry said, did they have any priors? Were their participation radically different in any way? I think the big thing, though, is because this involved the kidnapping of a governor, a really big factor is deterrence in any sentencing. And I think that might make it that they all apply the same, since they were all convicted of this really serious charge in terms of deterring others from doing the same thing.
Makes sense. Thank you for that. And another story out of the Midwest where surveillance cameras caught video of a drunk driving crash in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Take a look. Eau Claire police released the video this week showing a car veer off the road and crash into a stopped car and traffic light. The car then rolled over and onto another car in a nearby parking lot. Officials say the crash happened at about 9:30 in the morning on Saturday, October 22nd. Police identified the driver as 22-year-old Nicholas Ives, who was arrested with a first offense OWI and second-degree recklessly endangering safety. Officials say his portable breath test result was .242. In Wisconsin, the legal limit is .08. In a Facebook post detailing the crash, police confirm there were injuries, but no one was killed in the crash.